This is the plaintiff, Gerald Jr. He says he loaned his car to the defendant, his father, and he got into an accident with it. Now his car's totaled. The accident was deemed to be the defendant's fault. He only had liability insurance on it, and father or no father, he wants his $5,000 and is suing for just that today. This is the defendant, Gerald. He says his hothead son went ballistic when he got into a fender-bender, and he hit him. He called the police but didn't press charges because he's his son. He's not paying him $5,000 because the car isn't even worth that much, and he already got money from the insurance company, so he's trying to double dip off his own father. Besides, he won't let him see his grandkids anymore, and that's ridiculous to let a few scratches get in the way of their relationship. He's accused of bending a fender. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,400 for emergency dental work after being sucker punched by the plaintiff.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been affirmed, Your Honor.
Okay. Gerald, you're suing Gerald, your father, for $5,000, the value of a 2007 Dodge Caliber that, according to you, he crashed. What happened?
Okay, first off, I'm a single father. My wife passed away last year, April 27, 2018.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Long story short,
How old are your children?
I got a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. We also have a son that's in the Marines, and he's 20 years old. And long story short, his birthday came July 7th, 2019, and he's getting deployed overseas.
Okay.
So that makes us have
one less driver, because the other two don't drive. All right, so go ahead.
So we had...
Does mom drive?
No, unfortunately she don't. She's retired.
Okay, well, retiring doesn't mean you can't drive.
I know.
I hope. Like, I don't know what that means, but...
Yeah, so on his birthday, on July 7th, 2019.
On whose birthday?
The Marine.
The Marine.
Yes, because he's about to get deployed. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings. We had the entire family there.
Okay.
And my father knew that I was short a driver. And, you know, my kids got football practice. My daughter got dance and cheerleading. And we have another daughter that was trying to learn how to drive. So, you know, my father was like, hey, if you need help, I'll give you a hand. I said, sure, that's no problem, but you got to drive Keyshawn to school in the morning. You got to teach Chantel how to drive so we can have an additional driver and it'd be helpful while I'm in New York, you know, working and doing the commute. He said, oh, don't worry about it. I got you. And I said, one condition, I don't have full insurance. I have liability because I'm not financing a car. If the police report comes back that you're at fault.
You don't have collision, meaning you don't have the kind of insurance that would pay to cover the car if your own driver's at fault.
Yes.
So you said to him that if there's an accident and it's his fault, he has to pay. Yes,
if the police report specified that you're at fault, you're 100% liable. He said, don't worry, I'm not going to get in an accident. I said, okay, cool. So he got the car.
Well, mamas can say that. Why would you say? So you just believed that there would never be an accident? I mean, come on.
That's my father. You know, he's been driving for years, so you know.
Has he ever had an accident?
A couple.
Yeah. Has he ever had an accident in one of your cars?
Yes.
Okay. How many of your cars has he had accidents in?
It was the Ford Ecoline, two of them.
Two other cars of yours.
And actually, he had a.
So why then would you not anticipate something like exactly what ended up happening?
I agree with you.
You were desperate because you needed a driver, you needed to plug the holes, you needed to get things handled, and I understand that. But it's not that much of a surprise, is it? Because you've been warned twice before.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what ends up happening?
Okay, on July 15th.
Which is a week later.
Yes, he was turning left on Wilcott, and he didn't see the car. And as you can see, the car is basically totaled.
Do you have the police report? Hand me the police report. Yeah, so the police report finds him at fault, and then what happens?
My mother tried to make agreements with him and say, hey, you know, you're on disability, you get $1,200 plus a month. Try to give the young man $200 a month for 25 payments to pay for the damages. He said, I'm not paying for nothing. He told me straight up, I'm not paying for sugar honey iced tea.
Okay, let me ask you, sir, what is your version of what happened here?
Call my son and tell him about the accident. I said, I'm sorry, man. So listen, I got in an accident this morning. Oh, I'm busy right now. Call me back, blah, blah, blah. 15 minutes later, he calling me back, hollering, screaming, cussing me out and all this other garbage. Right? I said, yeah, all right, whatever. So I took the car back to my house. He comes a day later to come see about the car. Meanwhile, he comes up there, he's drinking and talking garbage. And I tell him, listen, you're very disrespectful. I'm not going to deal with that. So I put the key on top of the thing and I go to walk away because I know myself. Right? He comes up from behind me, pushes me, and throws his drink on me. Right? So I go in the house, right? As I go in the house, he comes running up the stairs. He punched my front plexiglass out my door, out the screen door. So I said, I'm going to call the cops to get you up out of here. So I called the police officers. Right? When they came, I told them what happened. They said, do you want me arrested? So I said, nah, just went to tell them to leave me alone. Don't come over here with that. Concerning these kids, I've been driving these kids since 2008. Right? When they miss the school bus, who they call? Call Papa. Right? When they got football practice, call Papa. Even my ex-wife over there, I take her shopping every week. When she at some place,
why are you doing so much driving if you're supposed to be such a bad driver?
When she wants to go someplace, who they call? They call me.
Okay, I hear that, but did you have a car accident and was it your
accident?
And did the police find it to be your fault?
The police didn't tell me none of that.
Well, it's in the police report. I just read it to you.
I never seen anything before.
Okay, well, I'm reading it to you.
He never came to me to negotiate nothing.
Okay.
Right?
The police report finds you at fault.
I didn't know that.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Would you sue your father if he damaged your car and wouldn't pay for the repairs?
Yeah, I would.
You would?
I mean, he got to pay for it, so I'm definitely going to sue him.
What do you say?
For sure.
You would?
Yes.
For sure?
Yes.
Like you want to sue your dad?
Yes.
Why?
Because it.
Oops. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. You don't like it, yeah.
Yeah, of course I would. Got to take responsibility for it.
Wow, this wasn't even an issue down here going inside the courtroom.
So when he says, and when he sends his mother to try to negotiate with
he
you,
his mother to me to negotiate
step
nothing.
on up, please, ma'am. Can you come up?
Thank you.
All right. Did you ever call him and attempt to negotiate him paying at least a little bit a month?
I tried.
And what happened?
He got mad, yelled at me, and hung up.
Now, you say that this car is totaled. He drove it away from the scene. Did you ever take the car into a shop to have the shop give you an estimate of what it would cost to repair?
My mechanic took a look at it, and the car was not drivable. I had to
Okay, do you have something from your mechanic?
No, I don't, ma'am.
Okay, he drove the car away from the scene and to his house.
It was,
and according to the police report, it was drivable. I know this is very significant damage. The word total loss means that it will cost more to repair than the car is worth.
Agreed.
So what you need to show me is an estimate from a legitimate repair shop that says it will cost X to fix. And then I compare it to the Blue Book value. Do you have any of that here?
Unfortunately, I don't, ma'am.
So I'm just going to guess at what the damage is. Because I can't, you can't just declare it's a total loss. A professional has to do that. Now, you have a counterclaim against him for $4,400. Money's owed for dentures. Tell me about that.
A couple years ago back, me.
When?
Like 15.
2015?
Yeah. Me and my other son was watching football. He come from his side into his mother's house, looked at me, started mumbling and junk. I said, yo, man, go ahead with that. Right? So my other son said, come on, Dad, let's go outside and smoke a cigarette. So me and him goes outside, we're smoking cigarettes. I got my back. I got my back towards the street. He come run up from behind me and sucker punch me. Pow!
Why?
Right? I don't know.
Well, no.
Right?
Most times when we get sucker punched by our own son, we have an idea of what the problem is. What was the problem?
He came in there. He had an attitude about something. Oh, you wasn't even here to teach me to ride a bike. He loved me today, and he hate me tomorrow. You know? He talking about, something about some bike junk. I don't know what was
From way back or from now?
From way back. Right? So he came in, while I'm sitting outside talking to my other son, he come up and sucker punched me. My dentist go flying. I get a big gash inside of my mouth.
Did that happen?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever hear about something like that happening?
She saw it.
I saw it, but that ain't the way it happened.
How did it happen?
He was talking nonsense about something, and I said, be quiet, let it go. We older now. Come on, let things go. That's kiddie stuff. So then my son, he went outside. He was still running his mouth and everything else. And not only did my son throw his hands up, he threw his hands up, and Junior blocked it, and he got hit in the mouth. That's what happened.
Didn't happen like
Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't know how it happened, but it happened I know, according to you, that it happened in 2015, and that is more than 3 years ago, and the statute of limitations on a case like that is 3 years. So you're bringing it up 4 years later is bringing it up too late. So on your counterclaim, because it's barred by the statute of limitations because it's too late, my verdict is 0. On the claim against you, I'm trying to figure out what the defense for you would be. You acknowledge that if the accident is your fault, if it's found to be your fault, that in fact then you should be paying for the car, right? Or you don't acknowledge that because you feel like you were doing so many favors by driving people.
I did so many favors for my son, right? And his mother, right? Me and my son, I mean, we're not always on real bad terms. But no one came and talked to me about working out nothing.
Well, I'm finding that hard to believe because they really did want help with paying for the car.
They didn't come to me and speak to me.
Well, either way, I've got a rule, and I've got a rule on whether or not the accident's your fault. And it looks pretty clear that the accident's your fault and that you then have to pay for the car. The question is, what do you have to pay? That becomes a little dicier. Where's the car now?
I took it to the scrap yard and only got $168 for it.
All right. There is a range, according to Kelley Blue Book, and I'm going to find in the middle of that range. And the middle of that range would be $3,500. I am ordering you to pay your son $3,500. My verdict is in your favor. Now, I want to give you some advice. I know what it's like to want to plug all the holes and to make sure that nobody is deprived of dance or this or that. And I know that you're struggling and doing the best that you can to give them a complete and full life. But there are things that you should do for your own sanity and for people's safety, all right? And if this is now the 3rd time he crashes one of your cars, then your precious 15 and 17-year-old cargo should not be in a car with him.
Understood.
You see? So it is less important to get to dance and more important to stay alive, right?
Amen.
As far as the relationship with your father, you've had your ups, you've had your downs. It goes back and forth. You know, that's between you and your father and all the other grandchildren who may want or may not want to see him. And I'll leave that for another day because that's not my business. Verdict for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails, Mr. Gerald. You're going to have to give your son $3,500 if you turn around. What you thinking?
Really?
What are you thinking?
It is what it is. You know what I mean? If that's his attitude, that's how you want to live, no problem. You know, I'm not going to sweat it, you know. No, it's not worth it.
Well, how do you think your relationship is going to be after this?
Let's see what happens with it in time. God's in control of all things.
God's in charge of all things. No doubt about that. All right, your son's on his way out of the courtroom. Let me ask you, I mean, obviously you won. You're happy about that. Yes. You didn't get what you wanted. But,
okay.
But what about the relationship with your dad? What's going to happen now?
He's been on drugs for the longest, and he needs to get his life together. Me, I will definitely make better decisions as far as people driving my car.
I was just going to say, if he's a drug addict, how come you're letting him drive your kids?
Because my wife passed away, and I just want to make better decisions. I'll buy the kids bikes, and I'll get another car, and I'll just have the responsible people drive.
Judge gave you some good advice.
Yes, she did.
Don't let him drive your kids.
Oh, I'm not even going to deal with him for the rest of his life. I'm done.
Oh, no.
Yes.
You don't mean that.
No, I do.
Really?
I do. Yes, because when you leave your kids flat out like that, you don't win. You don't never do that to your kid.
Good luck to you.
I'm
okay.
All
right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Hey, Doug, so you cannot get more than the market value of the car if you're suing for repair, period.